Welcome to Part 9 of the Small Business Finance series. In this episode, I'll explain the cash flow forecast in more detail. You'll recall from Episode 6 in this series that the cash flow forecast is one of three elements in a full set of financial projections, and that the purpose of these projections is to predict the future financial health of a business. The cash flow forecast is sometimes the only projection required by lenders, for example. This is because it deals with the short-term viability of a business, whether it will have enough money to cover its debts. Here's a reminder of the data you'll need to construct a cash flow forecast. The first three items have been covered in previous videos in this series. I'll deal with sales forecasting in more detail in a later episode. Here's a simple cash flow forecast projecting out to 6 months in the future. We'll have a look at this first to understand the basic structure. The first thing to notice is that the data is separated into several columns. In this instance, each column represents 1 month, but the data could also be broken down into weeks or even days, depending on the level of detail that's required. This format is in contrast to the projected profit-loss account, which often consists of just one column. There's a good reason that the cash flow forecast is presented in this way. If a business runs out of cash at any point during the forecast period, it could quickly become insolvent and face bankruptcy. In contrast, a business can afford to run at a loss for a considerable time, as long as it eventually makes a profit. Before we look at the individual rows that make up the cash flow forecast, I'd like to pause to identify some important points. Firstly, all figures need to be entered on a cash basis. It doesn't matter when you'll be performing work or delivering goods. You need to enter the income for such work in the month you realistically expect to be paid. Likewise, it doesn't matter when you'll be buying goods or using electricity, for instance. You need to record the expenditure in the column representing the time when the bill will be due. For VAT-registered businesses, all figures need to include VAT. I'll do a future video on VAT, but basically it's a tax that businesses collect on behalf of the government, and then periodically they pay that money to the government. But in the meantime, it's cash that the business can make use of. The cash flow forecast should feature the full cost of any capital expenditure expected during the forecast period. In a previous video, I talked about depreciation, but that's got no place in the cash flow forecast. And lastly, for self-employed proprietors or partners, owners' drawings should be included. All the points on the screen here are in sharp contrast to the projected profit-loss account, as we'll see in the next video. So let's have a look at the example forecast line by line. The first line represents money expected to flow into the business during each forecast period. This could be based upon your sales forecast and could also include invoices that you've already issued but haven't received payment for yet. Income from grants or loans should also be included here. For the sake of clarity, my example only has one line for income, but it's usual to have a separate line for each income element: sales, grants, loans, owner's capital introduced, etc., and then have this total income line underneath. The second line is money expected to flow out of the business. As with income, it's usual to have separate lines for different types of expenditure. For instance, wages, raw materials, insurance, capital expenditure, etc. But as before, I've just included the total expenditure line in my example. The third line, movement, is income minus expenditure. So in this example, for February, 2,500 minus 3,000 equals negative 500. Here I've indicated it's a negative number by putting brackets around the 500. The next line is how much money the business is expected to have at the beginning of each forecast period. If this forecast was produced at the end of January, then the business's actual bank balance could be entered in this row for February. For subsequent months, the opening balance would equal the previous month's closing balance. The final row is opening balance plus movement. This is where we're looking for any negative numbers. If there are any negative numbers in this row, then the business would have to arrange an overdraft facility to cope with them. If that's not possible, perhaps a loan could be arranged, or the owners could decide to put more of their own money into the business. Either of these two instances would be added to the income line at the top. Now let's have a look at a real-life forecast with individual lines for different elements of income and expenditure. This example has been prepared using a spreadsheet. And of course, if you use a spreadsheet, you can play around with the figures without having to do lots of repetitive calculations. I'd recommend searching online for a cash flow forecast template if you want to get a head start.
Hey guys, this is Patrick Meyer here, and I'm going to do a video review on binary options pro signals. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you my opinion on why you should or should not use this product. And also, at the end of this video, I'm going to show you an alternative if this is not for you. So, to start off with, basically what this software is a software that trades binary options on autopilot, and it's a mobile. So you click and you can go through and make some money. However, really, if you're going to trade binary options, which is a legitimate thing to do, you really need to know market indicators and really need to have a good understanding of those. So some of those indicators are is, one, you need to have a mentor, and number two, you need to have a strategy, and you need a mentor to help you with that strategy. And number three, you need to have a good understanding of world events, such as hurricanes, disasters, such as that, and wars and such like that, because they affect the market big time. And a piece of software is not really going to do that for you. You can go ahead and try it for $14, because below this video I actually had, like I said, I was giving you options. There's a link that you can actually click and you can try it out. Or if you're looking to make a legitimate income online from home, I recommend, clicking on the link that I do have below this video. That's an alternative, and you can make a monthly residual month after month. Like I said, click on the link below this video, right here, alternative. You'll be brought to this page, and this page will start out with, asking you how much. Oh, I want to make an extra $10,000 a month. Put in your email, click next, you'll be brought to this page. And it's a video presentation, a short one, by my good friend and mentor, Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson was a police officer that was injured in the line of duty, and the extent of his injuries, he was then able to return back to becoming a police officer. And so while he was recuperating, he looked for a legitimate way to make money online. And he found it. And he tells his story, and he's making residual month after month, at least $12,000 a month, and it's growing every month. So, watch that presentation, click on it, click here to get access, then you'll be brought to this video presentation, which this gentleman, you know, and they go through and it'll tell you it's about 9 minutes long, and it's really Pat's full story after they talk about these people, which are not paid actors. They're legitimate people that make money month after month. And at the end of the 9 minutes, this button will show up, Get Access. Click the button, and we'll see you on the inside, because then you can give it a true try and see what a true money-making online business is all about. So all the training's there, and I look forward to working with you on the once you get on the inside. And I also have my email below there, so you can email me directly. And I look forward to talking to you very soon. Have a great day. Bye, guys.